Hey guys, what's going on? It's Russell again. So today I'm going to talk about selling puts and why you should do them and give you a few examples of the absolute best alert services that focus on selling puts to make passive income and just sit there and you just basically sell these things and money just flows in. At least that's the idea, right? Anyway, let's get started. So the first thing I want to mention is if you look in the description below, I'll put links to the three best put selling services that I've come across. They are all stuff I've tried and I'm also part of. So I help manage the Eagle Trades and the it's not good, I've forgotten the other one. TheaTraders.com is the other one. And then with David Jaffe, I was a member of his service for about a month. Tried it out, liked it. It's pretty good, so I recommend all three of those. Go and check them out. They're in the description below. So let's get started. So a lot of people trade options. They buy calls and they buy puts. But there's a better way to do it, and this is something that's taken me about 10 years to discover. I've just kind of ignored it. I've always been more of a stock trader. So in the last year, I've discovered selling puts and options in general is something I've become more interested in. But here's the thing. Most options expire worthless, so it's kind of like a sucker's bet unless you really, really, really know what you're doing, which most people don't. Let's be honest. So, what I've found is that if you sell the option contract to somebody else, so you become the seller, then that is where the edge is. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, kind of like a high overview rather than really specific strategies and things, which anybody can just find with a quick Google search. But what you do when you sell an options contract is you're betting that something won't happen. So let me give you an example. If you sell a put to somebody, say you sell it to them and it has a strike price of $100, say. So say Apple is trading at $150 a share and you sell a put to somebody for $100, right? So that's the strike price, $100. Now the chances of that actually finishing in the money in say a week if you do a close expiration is extremely unlikely. Apple's unlikely to lose 50% of its value and close below 100 on expiration. So when you sell the put, you're basically betting that Apple won't go down that far. And if you think about that, you can take that to an extreme where you say, okay, I'm going to basically bet that Apple won't go to $50 or $0, right? Now the chances are really, really, really high, like 99% or 90% depending on the strategy, that you'll win that bet. If you bet somebody that, that it won't drop that far, then you're most likely going to win that bet. Now you get paid to make that bet, right? You basically get paid to take the bet in the form of the premium, which you get immediately when you sell the option. So think about it a bit like an insurance company. So I hate health insurance. I hate paying health insurance premiums of $1,500 every month. So an insurance company wins because the chances of you actually becoming so sick that you spend more than you're paying them in monthly premiums, they make money because you might pay them $2,000 a month for 12 months, $24,000. But the chances of you having expenses that they have to pay for that's more than $24,000 is extremely low, so they win. And of course, they adjust the premium in order to make sure that they win. So if you're sick, you have to pay higher premiums, and they do all these fancy statistics to basically totally put the thing in their favor. So by selling options, it's similar to being an insurance company or a casino, where you're basically the person who makes the money no matter what happens. You don't have that risk that people that are buying the options or paying for the insurance contracts have. So you're effectively selling insurance contracts when you think about it. So that's the basic idea. The cool thing is you collect a small amount of premium, but you do it over and over again. So you'll never hit huge home runs with this. Like you'll be lucky if you make 4% a month, maybe 5, 6 at best, 10% a month if you're doing great. So you're not going to double or triple your account or anything crazy. This is a conservative swing trading strategy where you're taking very small wins but with a very, very high probability of winning. So it's very low risk, it's very stress free. You just sit there, you collect the premiums when you sell these things, and you just basically sit there and make passive income as time goes by. But that's not the best bit about this. Like, you can make these high probability bets and collect a premium. The coolest thing to me though is this isn't as directional as normally would be if you're buying stock or options, if you buy the options, right? So if the stock doesn't go down to say 100, so if you're talking about Apple at 150 at the moment, it can actually go slightly up instead of down and you still win. And that's because of one of the coolest concepts, which is time decay. So if you don't know much about this, basically as options get closer and closer to the expiration date, they lose value. So the premium will drop anyway. So I think it's just so cool because you can just sit there and if the stock doesn't move at all, you'll still make some of that premium, which is awesome. So you basically, the stock can go, up, it can go down, or it can stay the same within a wide variety of parameters, right? And you'll still make money from this thing, which is so cool. So time decay is an important concept. I would look that up if you're interested in selling options to make this passive income from collecting premium. So that's all I really want to say about selling options. You guys can go and check out anything you want on YouTube and stuff. I don't want to, reinvent the wheel by going through this. I want to talk a little bit more about the alert services that I found to be really, really useful for doing this, especially if you're a beginner. Here's a quick summary though. You sell a put, you're betting a stock won't go down much. If you do it far out the money, you've got a very high chance of winning. It's a small amount, but there's plenty of people making 40-50% a year by compounding these small amounts. There are a few tricks though, so you can have a high risk of losing. Not high risk, a low risk of losing, but the risk can be quite high. So if you lose the bet, right, and the stock actually falls below the strike price by expiration, on expiration when it expires, you'll get assigned the stock at the current strike price, right? So you're going to have a bit of a difference there. You're going to take quite a big loss sometimes. But there's tricks you can do, rolling over options, the wheel strategy, covered calls, all this stuff, and you can find out all about that stuff. So there's ways to really mitigate the risks on the odd 1 out of 10 that loses. So it's pretty cool. Oh, one thing I wanted to cover is really quick how you do it. So I've had a few questions recently when I've been talking to people that are new to this, like what's the deal? So it's very similar. So if you go to Apple and you look at your options chain, say for the 20th of August, say you don't think Apple's going to fall below 140 if it's at 150. So you click on this and you just sell the put. So it's puts on the right hand side. So you sell the put. Let's see, so do a single. So here you want to set that to sell. It'll be similar on other people's brokerages as well. We sell 5. So you're selling it here, confirm and sell. So you can see that your maximum profit for this would be 1,255. That's if it expires above the strike price. This says the maximum loss, and this is what puts everybody off. It says $68,745, which is how much it would cost if you had to buy those shares. So if you lose the bet, you'll have to buy that value of shares. Now, if you really love Apple, that's not a bad thing. You'll own the shares, right? So the thing to remember here, though, is this isn't really the max loss. This is if you got assigned and then Apple went to zero, completely zero, then you'd lose that much money. But that's never going to happen. So just bear that in mind if you're thinking that there's such an asymmetric, risk reward here, because it's not as bad as it looks on your brokerage. So don't get freaked out if you're new to this and you see this kind of stuff. And like I said, there's tons of ways to mitigate the very few losers that will always happen. Anyway, I promised I'd go through this a little bit. So here are the 3 services. beststockstrategy.com, run by David Jaffe, has a history on Wall Street. He is probably the most experienced trader out of these guys. He shows all his performance records and things. I'll leave a link in the description to go and read my full review of his service. I really like his service. It's probably the most expensive one here though. I think it's $350 a month. And so you need a reasonable size account. He does do expensive puts. So, we're talking Amazon. Basically some of the best stocks in the world, like the really industry leaders, really stable stocks. So that's David Jaffe's service. It's really good. I like it a lot. The next 2 are services that I'm involved in. So I manage, along with Lance, I manage ThetaTraders.com. This is a totally different strategy. Still has the high win rate that you'd expect. So 90-95% of your trades you'll win. But we are focusing on much lower stocks, so lower price stocks. So it's a small account friendly, whereas like David Jaffe, you need a lot of buying power, like $200,000 to really make any significant money. This strategy works with 5 to 10,000, and that's because we're looking at stocks with much lower prices. So like a $5 stock will only cost, like one contract to sell costs about $500. So you can take many positions with a small account. Again, this has about a 4% average win rate over the course of this whole year. And if you can make 2% a month though, you're still beating the S&P, so that's pretty good. We also give a full strategy guide to this as well, so it's pretty cool. And also one-on-one coaching as well, which is always nice. So I've included a track record on the webpage as well. I'm going to check that out. And then we have Eagle Trades, which is a joint venture between Matt and Malcolm and myself. I'm not going to talk about Malcolm's stuff because that's options, buying options, scalping at the open. But Matt has a really good income, basically a passive income strategy for selling options. His is more similar towards David Jaffe's in that he tends to play more expensive stocks, but not as expensive as David's. So it's definitely worth checking out. He is a technical trader who plans his entries a lot better than a lot of guys who are selling options, so he really gets good entries into these things. And he has an extremely high win rate, I think 90%. He's known to make 10, 20,000 in a week or two very, very regularly. So go and check this guy out. I think you'll be pretty impressed with what he does. And I think that's about it. So yeah, go and check out these links in the description below. And I hope that's useful and catch up with you guys later. Cheers.